Hello Green and Emerald, welcome to Friday Maths, or as I like to call it, Friday. Your arithmetic is on here, and if you've got your book lined down into 3 sections, you can start that off straight away, and then you can pause the video and I won't go through the answers. Okay, so here they come. And it's the bronze ones. There's a mix of tables in there, and then you've got subtraction, 2-digit numbers for silver. There's some multiplication and division questions. So if you want to pause those and make sure that you've marked those, that would be great. So we've got a starter here. This is very similar to the work from yesterday, when we were using scales with 100-gram intervals, so those spaces, 10 lots of 100 grams equaling 1,000 grams, because 1,000 grams is the same as, or the equivalent to 1 kilogram. So we're going to read this scale now, and you can write down the mass of the box of Lego. You need to put down kilograms, and you've got it as well, kilograms and grams. If you get that done, then we're ready to put up the answer. And here it is. It's 2 kilograms because we're starting on here. We go to that first main kilogram one as we're reading the scale, and then we stop there counting them in kilograms because we're obviously not up to number 3. And then we count up in hundreds because that's the interval value. Okay, and there's 9 of those, which is 900 grams. So it's 2 kilograms, 900 grams for that one. This is the cool starter, and we've got some scales here, some balance scales, and we've got a cupcake on here, and we've got some cubes, and then we've got to tick the mass of the cake. Now, what's the cake represented by? What's the balancing one? Because it's definitely in balance here. So it's in balance. The cake has got the mass equivalent or equal to, and you should have 5 cubes for that one because there's 5 cubes taking it into balance. And then you're going to write in the correct phrase. The cake is something than 3 cubes. So the cake is either heavier than 3 cubes or equal to 3 cubes. I've given you a nice big clue here by saying that this is equal to 5 cubes. So imagine there were 3 on here. If we took 2 off, what would that mean? That would mean that these scales would drop down, and that would be heavier than the 3 cubes. Okay. So let's talk. So we're going to be having a look at a different type of balance scale today. It looks exactly the same, apart from the actual the actual intervals on here. So I want you to read this together, and then you can have a little talk about it. What can you answer the questions? How can you tell what its mass is? And what is one of those unmarked intervals worth? What is one of these worth? Now, there were 10 in that yesterday, weren't there? So have a little think about that. We've got the mass of this bag of rice is more than 3 kilograms because we can follow it round. 1, 2, 3. How can you tell its mass? So what's that next jump going towards? Okay. You might need to look at this one to help you work out how much, or how one of these unmarked intervals, how much is that worth? The intervals are marked on the scale, 1, 2, and that might help you counting round. Okay, so have a little talk, and you can pause it and carry on. Now we've got the unmarked intervals on here. We know to start with that for between 0 and 1 kilogram, so 1 kilogram, the value of 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. And yesterday we had 10 sections of 100 grams equaling 1,000. Now today we've got the same amount, we've got the same total of 1,000 grams, but this time they are divided up into 5 intervals. Because if we start from here, imagine this was a number line and you're counting those gaps, you're counting the jumps, the intervals. You've got 0, so you'd start on 0 and you'd count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there are 5 intervals to get to 1 kilogram or 1,000 grams. Now there's weirdly, there looks as though there's only 4, but you have to think of a number line stretched out, because that there is a jump there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have to count that one, because that is where your 1,000 grams finishes. So it's from here all the way up to that amount. If you think of that on a number line, you wouldn't stop at 90, you'd carry on to 100. This, you don't stop at 900, you would carry on to 1,000. Okay, so to find out what 1 is worth, we could do 1 kilogram that's been divided, if you think of division, divided into 5 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is the same as 200 grams. Now, that looks like a really hard sum to do, 1,000 divided by 5. But if you use your known facts and you think, well, actually, if I can think of my place value here, and I just look at that and think, actually, if I've got 10 at the beginning of that number, 1,000, if I think of it, it's made up of 100 or 10, 100 or 1,000, and I can relate that to my family, my number sentence families, then I've got, if I think of the fact 10 divided by 5, how many 5s are in 10? That would be 2. So if this was 100, how many 5s in 100? That would be 20, because you've got your place value. If 5s into 1,000 is 200, okay, so 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 20 is 100, 5 times 200 is 1,000. So there are ways of breaking into those numbers. So each interval is worth 200 grams. I mean, the other scenario that you could do is you could chunk in batches of 50. So you could do those jumps along a number line, and you'd have 20 jumps of 5 times 10 to get 50, 50, 50 all the way through. But you know, it's about getting those strategies and what you think of in your head as well. Okay. We will do some more work on division in the next few weeks. So you've got, each interval is worth 200 grams. So if you are reading from here, you could jump round in 200, 400, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, 1,600, 1,800, 2,000, 2,200, 2,400, 2,600, 2,800, 3,000, 3,200, 3,400, 3,600, and then the scale finishes. Okay, so this arrow is pointing at 3 kilograms and 200 grams, and so that the mass of the rice is 3 kilograms 200 grams. We're going to do some more on here. I was going to say something else then and it's gone out of my head. So brilliant. So we've got 5 kilograms this time, and so we get to here and it's 5 kilograms, and so we've got 1 kilogram, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we've got 2 more jumps to get to here. So we've got 1, 2, each one of those is worth 200, so that would be 5 kilograms 200, and the next one would be 400. Okay, so we've got 5 kilograms and 2 lots of 200, 200, 400, and then that would come out to 5 kilograms 400 grams. So instead of counting these up in tens, we're counting them up in instead of counting these up in hundreds, we're counting these up in 20s. Okay, there's half as many marks between each kilogram as there was yesterday. So have a look at this one as well, and you can write these into your book. it's, you know, you can have a little, you could actually do a number line if you wanted to, just do a little short number line with 5 kilograms and 2 more jumps up of those 200 grams. Okay, get that recorded if you can. So we've got 1 kilogram, 2, 3, 4. So we need to write down the 4 kilograms, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 intervals. So we start off with 4 kilograms and 4 intervals. Each interval is worth 200 grams. So we've got 4 kilograms and 4 times 200, because each one of these is 200. And 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 200 is 800. It's a great way of showing your knowledge of number families and how they work for multiplication. Okay, so 4 kilograms, 800. And then the last one here, we've got 2 kilograms and 3 intervals. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. It's clearer than that one, isn't it? And so 2 kilograms and 3 intervals. 1, 2, 3. 3 lots of 2 is 6. So 3 lots of 200 is 600. 2 kilograms and 600 grams. So you can pause the video and write these down. You don't have to write them all, but it might give you a, this one would be a really nice one to draw in actually, because it's nice and clear. It's quite a simple one. Okay, and it only goes up to 3 kilograms. Okay, so that would be the one that I would choose. So our scales and our success criteria today, quite a similar lesson to yesterday, and the I've deliberately done the questions so that they look slightly similar to yesterday. It's just that you've got to remember that they're 200 intervals, 200 gram intervals rather than hundreds. And SpongeBob and his buddy are going to celebrate with you today. So we're going to check the unit of measure on the scale is kilograms. So you go up to you're counting those whole kilograms first, just before you get to the arrow. Don't go past it. Write down the number of kilograms. Carefully count up the intervals from the whole kilograms up to where the arrow is. And then you times that number of intervals by the value of each one, which is 200 grams. So if you've got 3 intervals, it's 3 times 200, and that would be 600. And then once you've got that grams total, then you write it after the kilograms. So you get kilograms first, grams afterwards. And that's it for today for the maths. So even here, it's got a similar sort of look to it, but again we've got these separate these intervals where they're showing 200 grams. So that's the key thing today, nice and big at the top for you. So you've got the coconuts here, you've got a nice big ham, you've even got some dog food on there, and then we've got cat food and bird food going on. So you can compare the two here and put in your amounts, and you're going to find out find the difference between the two. And then the very final one, this is quite a challenge, this one. Try and work out how heavy, or how the mass of 5 bags. So you've got bulk buy of 5 as a special offer. How much? What's the mass of the 5 bags of bird food? So have a go at that one, and that's it. Okay, I'm going to stop now and wish you a happy Friday and happy maths work, and get those done. And that's it for me for now. Okay, take care now. Bye.